Back to Second Cup. And as we're together this morning, it is midweek already, and these weeks are clipping by. I hope that you've had a great week. Ours started with some rough news this morning, and with another one of our church family holidays this season. Would you pray for them? Would you minister to them in a really key way? Express kindness to them. Mark 9:33-37. We've been looking at each of these days this week, and this section is really important to those of us who have leadership positions. And you might think of that typically as a position. You have a title. You have been given charge of a number of people. But maybe you think about it a little broader than that. Think about leadership in terms of your kids, your family, or if you're a teacher or your classroom. If you are a leader in a business, your employees, the people on your team. I really like moving from the discussion of committees and this business organization. We've really tried to move our church family to this idea of teams, that these are ministry teams working together for a common goal. It's a little more family oriented, a little more we're in it together than there's somebody over us and these are the underlings that we have charge of. As a pastor, it's really important for me to communicate that, to believe that first of all, and then to communicate it, that it's not just me, the head honcho, in charge of everything. Sure, there are times that leaders have to make hard decisions, but this is not about a power struggle. And in fact, Jesus had disciples that fit into that category, right? As we began reading in chapter 9, verse 33, the discussion is that they've been having an argument, a discussion, if you will, about who's greatest, about who's on top, who's the best, who's the chief among all these disciples. And as Jesus challenges them, he says, when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you discussing on the way?" They kept silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. And so he sat down and called the 12, and he said to them, "If anyone would be first," I think he pauses there because they lean in. Yes, he must be last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and put him in the midst of them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. Whoever receives me receives not only me, but him who sent me." Jesus was trying to teach his team something about leadership. They had a perception that was get ahead at all cost. Who's in charge here is often the question that's asked, right? I want to speak to the guy who's in charge. And we puff up our chest, that's me. Until something goes wrong, and then it's not me. Here, the leadership, though, issue is, are we learning well? Are we leading well? Are we parenting or husbanding even well, right? Husband is the head of the household, but is not supposed to be some sort of monarch or dictator or overlord. He's supposed to be a caregiver. He's supposed to be a husband who is attempting to bring forth the best crops possible. He is a gardener, if you will. Leadership is really about, Jesus says, is about serving your team. How is it that we can serve each other and thus become greater leaders? In fact, the really cool part about this leadership, this serving others, is really about deaconing others. We use that term to describe leaders in our church, those who are deaconing or serving well. Even the pastor is a deacon of a sort. He is a servant leader. He is one who is supposed to serve those around him. Well, first of all, here's a couple of things that we can apply. We can stop trying to be in charge by force. And this is so important because we often wrangle for position and try to put others down to elevate ourselves, and we try to claw our way to the top of the stack. We are experiencing and pursuing king of the mountain in a real, literal sense. We are willing to push everybody else out of the way so that we can be in charge. Well, Jesus said, stop doing that. Instead, don't be on top of the stack. but serve those who are at the bottom of the stack. Secondly, I think he's talking about seeking, not only stop trying to be on top, but seek to use all your resources, including your position, bring them if you're helping them, if you are assisting them in some way. Here are a couple of ways that you might serve those that are on your team, that you might seek to use all your resources to help them. Give them training to improve their skills, right? Use your position to establish some training regimens. Give them some skills. Use what you already know and give it to them, right? Don't try to keep all that to yourself as if you hold all the cards. Don't make everything have to pass through you. Instead, farm that out. Give them training so they can improve in their skills. Secondly, listen to their thoughts. Listen to their opinions and goals. Maybe even implement some of them instead of your own. Choose to follow their path. Here's another way to serve others. Help them to solve their overloads. How many times have people come to you as the one in charge and they said, I've got this issue. And you go, well, it's not my issue. Fix it yourself. That's not good leadership. Serving each other and coming to the bottom of the stack and helping those that are in trouble and under overloads. Galatians 6 talks about coming alongside people that have been overloaded, have all sorts of consequences of bad decisions, and helping them. And that kind of goes against us, right? This is, you made this bed, you lie in it, is kind of our normal response. Good leaders, great servants come alongside those who are in overload positions and help them get out of it and stay out of it. You can also bind up their wounds, right? There's nothing better than a leader who serves his people, serves his team, serves his family, serves his neighborhood, serves his wife by comforting them. When they're in trouble, comfort them. And I have a lot to go in this area myself, in these areas as a dad and as a husband, as a pastor, as a leader of ministry teams. There's a lot for me to grow here. This is a rebuke to me too. And I'm applying these things. I hope they'll help. The last thing is not only stop trying to be on top, seek to use all your resources to serve your team, and then set good examples for them to follow. Right? Jesus takes this little child and he says, you need to value people like this. Children that have no way to pay you back. There's no advantage to helping children because they don't exhibit great wealth. They don't have great prestige. They don't vote even. And maybe Jesus is trying to say, value people that are insignificant in the world's eyes. Value these people that are the little people, quite literally. Practice hospitality. Receive them to yourselves. I think Jesus takes these little children, not just uses them in object lessons, but draws them in close and gives them a hug. He's ministering how to serve others. He's loving on them as an expression of loving God the Father. Do you understand that when we serve others, when we love others, we are loving God by loving others? We're actually demonstrating this like Jesus did as he loved others that were less than him. Oh, he was superior. They were inferior to his position. And yet he stooped down. He valued them. He practiced hospitality. We literally, by setting examples for others to follow as we follow the example of Christ. Paul will make that really clear when he says, follow me as I follow him. That's a great model. Mark chapter 9. Think about how it ought to mark us. Stop arguing about your greatness. Start modeling your gratefulness, your thanksgiving for what God's done to you, and stay steady at serving God by serving others. Well, friends, I hope these words have helped you in this little section. Tomorrow we'll start into the next section of Mark's gospel as we think about how we might enjoy. I'm praying that you have done that you are in this kingdom of his, that you are experiencing an enjoyment of him, and that every day is a day of blessing because you are his and he is yours. Friends, be well, and I'll see you again tomorrow. I love you. Bye-bye.